welcome back to the exciting video. What we're talking about today is Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are. That is right, we are stepping off of the guitar for a little bit because I want to start getting back into some more piano stuff because I love playing piano. And I'll be the first to admit my piano skills have suffered over the years substantially as guitar became my primary instrument. And then I spent years in bands doing nothing but playing guitar. And unfortunately, my piano's just sat. So getting back into a lot of piano stuff. Yeah, I mean, I got a bit on my channel now, but going to start getting back into more piano stuff because I do love playing the piano. So, but on this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to learn Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are. This is a fantastic song with an amazing, amazing chord progression. Make an adjustment here. And for all my guitar player friends out there, if you really want a challenge, learn this song on guitar. It is not the easiest song that you would think to play. And if I have enough people ask me, I'll do a video on how to play this song on guitar. But we're going to concentrate primarily on keyboards for this one. So just a quick note, there is a tremendous amount of information to unpack here. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible, but I don't know if it's going to be possible on this one because there is a lot of information we're going to go through. All right. So before I get started, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It costs you nothing to subscribe, and it helps my channel out tremendously. Please share the video. Please like the video, because likes tremendously help also. All of this information that I'm getting ready to do will be on my Patreon page. You can get it all off my Patreon page. It only costs $1 a month to join my Patreon page and to get everything that I make. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'll have all the lyrics, the chord over the lyrics, where you're supposed to play the chord. But then I'll also have the chord charts. If you look at the bottom of your screen here, you'll see my piano roll. And all this will be in there with the chord. So if it says play G major 7 and you don't know how, all you gotta do is look for the G major 7 on my Patreon page, and all the chords to this will be in there because there's a lot of chords in this song. This isn't your typical 3-chord song. There's a tremendous amount going on here. So if you have a keyboard, now you can do this on piano too. It works just as well. I do go into piano bars. My wife and I go into piano bars, and I'll just sit and start playing, and it is an absolute blast. And this is one of the songs I play. Now this does have a pad on it, this sound, but it works just as well. So you can use a piano if you do not have this type of situation. However, if you do have a workstation or a synth, or if you have a Yamaha, what you're looking for is an EP, an electric piano with a phase on it, a phase shifter, and it will give you this sound. This is an absolutely fantastic sound, and when it comes to the EPs, I do think that Yamaha actually does some of the best in the business, and that is why I do have 2 Yamaha keyboards. And because of the fact they're just starting to get asinine expensive. You know, I looked at a Korg the other day. I think it was a Korg workstation, and it was like $6,000. Give me a break. It's just getting beyond stupid. I can buy a motorcycle for $6,000. Anyway, I digress. Moving on, so you will be looking for an EP sound with a phase on it, and this sound is used in millions of songs. I mean, I can't count how many songs I know that I use this particular sound for when I'm doing just gigs on my own, or we're doing acoustic gigs or whatever, which is rare anymore. So on that note, let's get started. Like I said, there is a lot to unpack. So stay with me, and if you need the information on this, you can either stop the video and look at it, or you can go to my Patreon page, and like I said, for $1 a month, you get all the information. So let's get started. So the song starts off with its iconic chord here. It's this little arpeggio off the left hand. So what we've got here is this song is in the key of D. Now, I can take any chord in this world and I can rename it to multiple chords depending on the key that you're in. Now, when we're talking about artists such as Billy Joel and Elton John and stuff like that, they use so many borrowed chords that are out of key. So if you see things, for instance, when you see this chord on the piano roll, you notice it says a B flat on it, or an A sharp, depending on the key I have my computer software set in. And this is not in key. This is a borrowed chord that we're starting off from, and there's a lot of accidentals added into it. So don't let that stump you when you start looking at it and thinking, well, hell, that's not in the key of D. Well, that is correct. It is not in the key of D. There's something sticky on my keyboard right there. I have dogs. Who knows what that is? Could be bird poo in my house. So what we're going to do, and on the left hand, we're going to play a D. And what we're doing is we're playing a root, a fifth, and an octave. And we're just going to arpeggiate that up. And then while we hold that, we're going to come over here to the right hand. And we're going to play. Now, if you look at my software, it says that this is a G minor 6 B flat. And since we're out of key, you actually could call it that. Or I could call this a variation of a B flat. Actually, there's a lot of different things I could call this, but we're just going to break down what this particular chord is, since it is out of key, it is out of scale. So on the right hand, you're going to have a B flat, you're going to use your thumb, you're going to use finger number 2 on a D, finger number 3 is going to be on an E, and then finger number 4 is going to be on a G. And that is our opening chord. And if you look at the piano roll, look at all the green notes, and that'll tell you exactly what I'm playing. And if I keep looking over here, it's because that is where I'm looking at my piano roll. Now, we're going to do the same thing for the second part as far as the left hand. And what we're going to do here is on our right hand, we're going to move this B flat to a B. We're just going to lift this E altogether. We're just going to get rid of that altogether. And we're going to move this G up to a B. And it's going to be, that is our chord here. So it's going to go. Then for the second part of this, all we do is take this B and move it down to the A. And we do this twice. And then coming out of that, I do this quick little arpeggio on a second inversion D major. And you can see it on the piano roll. And this gives me my second inversion on the D. And this actually starts our song right here. This is where he comes in singing Don't Go Changing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this first half of the verse, and then we'll break it down real quick. All right, let's break this down. So we're going to start with this D, second inversion. And you can see here we have an A, D, F sharp, and I'm using fingers. And the way your fingers work is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The ones are always your thumbs, your fives are always your pinkies. And the way that I'm chording this on my right hand is I'm using 1. On the D, I'm using 2. And then on the F sharp, I'm using 4. So we're going to move from this chord, and I'm going to do this little arpeggio where I just bring this G in. And if you look at the chord, you can see the arpeggio, and I'm going to do that slow. Then we're going to move to the B minor. Now all we're doing here is we're taking our left hand, going to a B octave. We're taking finger number 1 and moving it from this A to this B. And I'm going to play the same little arpeggio here. Same exact thing again. Now we're going to go to a G major 7. Now the way I'm fingering this, we have a G, B, and an F sharp. And the way I'm fingering it is with 1, 2, and 5. And if you notice, I'm leaving the 5th out on this. When you're playing chords, especially 7 chords, it's very easy to leave the 5th out. We've already got our 3 notes, and the 5th is a perfect 5th of the root. So it really doesn't add anything to the chord. You can hear it, but it really doesn't add anything to the chord, because what denotes the chord is the third and the 7 and the root. The fifth is just a perfect fifth of the root. So a lot of times when I play 7 chords, I will just leave the fifth out altogether because I really don't need it here. And it's just, when you're making fast chord changes, it's easier just to leave that fifth out. But you can play it this way if you would like to do so, and you would have to finger this 1, 2, 3, 5. Then of course we have the G on the left hand octaves. Now right here, we're going to go right back up to the B minor, and we're going to go up to a D7. And if you notice here, I'm playing an inversion of a D7. And if you notice here again, I'm leaving the fifth out, as most people do. Most people do not play a D7 in this position like this. They'll play it with just the 3 notes, and you have a root, a third, and a 7, because that really is what makes up the chord. So I'm going to play it, and how I'm fingering that is I'm using on the C, finger 1, D2, and on the F sharp I'm using 4. So I'm going to play it back to that point again. Okay, right here, we're going to go back to our G7. And this is part of what I love about Billy Joel. His writing is absolutely brilliant. I mean, this guy's a brilliant writer. Obviously, Billy Joel. I mean, the guy's he's had more hits than Elvis. So we're going to go to this G major 7 here. We've already played this. We have the G, B, and the F sharp. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump out of key here again. We're going to go from this G major 7, we're going to go to a B minor 7. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this B with finger 2 down to a B flat. We're going to, with finger 5, this F sharp is going to go down to an F. And this becomes our chord. So we're going to go from the B major 7 to the the G major 7 to the G minor 7. Now, if you notice on my left hand, you'll see me doing a lot of root 5 root stuff, because that is just how I play. That is just something that I do. You can just play the octaves if you want, or you could actually play the root 5 octave, or you can arpeggiate them like I do. And that's just something that I formed, a habit I formed a long time ago, to keep the left hand from just sounding monotonous with just octaves. I started adding in fifth, and every once in a while I'll add in thirds, depending on what I'm playing. So we got the G major 7 to the G minor 7, and then check this out. Absolutely beautiful here. Now we're going to jump down here. Now you could call this a D per se, but what it actually is an F sharp minor 7. Absolutely beautiful. And on the left hand, we're going to play the F sharp. So listen to this progression, and this is why I love Billy Joel, the way he does things like this. Absolutely fantastic. That is just beautiful, and I absolutely love that. So coming out of there, we're going to come into an A minor 7. Now this is one of those 7 chords, for whatever reason, I really don't know why, that I will add the fifth. And the way that I'm playing this is on 1 we have an A, finger 2 we have our C, finger 4 we have our fifth, our E, and then finger 5 we have our 7, our G. And some chords I do with a fifth, some I don't. It's just habits I developed over the years. And we're going to jump out of this A minor 7, which you can do without the fifth again, and do it this way just as well. We're going to go back up to our D7, which we've already covered. Come out of the A minor 7 to the D7. Back to our G major 7. Back to our G minor 7. Now right here on this G minor 7, we have this little walk down. Right here. Now the notes are D and B flat, A, G. So what I'm going to do, just so you have a premise of where this hits, I'm going to play it back at the beginning from the D and come all the way to that little walk down. And then we go right back, and then this time we'll get to this chord in a minute. So you'll notice when I get to this part here, I do this little walk up first. I'll play the G, then the B flat, then I'll come back through the actual step down. One more time. I'm sorry. One more time. Then as soon as we come out of that, we step into this D chord right here. Now this is actually a D chord, an inversion. Now remember when we played this chord, this was actually an F sharp minor 7. Now we could look at this, and this is what I was talking about. Remember I said that chords could have multiple names. We could look at this as a F sharp minor 6, or an first inversion of a D chord. If we do the D chord, and then we play it out of root position, first position, second position. So first position, D chord. And we're playing on our left hand again, the F sharp. We're playing the third on our left hand. So one more time, I'm going to start at the beginning and bring us all the way back through that walk down. And I will apologize now. These keys are a bit lighter than what I'm used to on my piano I have downstairs. So sometimes you'll see some notes that'll trigger off where I brush up against them. So I apologize for that. So let's move on. Okay, so coming out of that little walk down, we go back to our B minor with our little arpeggio here. Now right here, we're going to jump into an E suspended 4. So what is an E suspended 4? So if we play a regular E major and we move our third up a half step, this makes it a suspended chord. This is an E suspended 4. We are suspending that third. And we're going to play this, however, we're going to play it in the second position. So we're going to play, instead of playing our E major here, our E major 4 here, we're going to come down to this B, and we're going to play it here. This would be our suspended 4. And we're going to play the suspended 4 to the second position E major. One more time. And then this sets us up for, this is kind of an iconic part of the song also. We're going to jump here into this, this G with an A bass line. Now you could also call this an A9 if you chose to do so. But it's easier just to say, instead of looking at the chord here, this would actually, I would list this as a G/A for this particular song. So what happens here is we're playing the G in root. Then we're going to play the first inversion. Then we're going to play the second inversion of all the same chord of G while we're holding this A. And it sounds like this. And that is kind of our turnaround right there. And that brings us back to the beginning of the song. Now, when we get to the end of the first verse, the second verse, now it starts and it plays exactly the same way as the first verse. But when we get to the end, instead of playing this E suspended 4 to the E major, we're going to play an E minor 7 here. And yes, again, we are jumping back out of key. And one of the things I love about Billy Joel, we're going to come to this E minor 7. Now, a lot of times when I play minor 7 chords, depending on what my melody is, it depends on where I put the 7 of the chord. A lot of times when you're playing stuff like this, you'll want your melody line to be playing off the notes that you're playing. And generally, that is the note that will be at the top of your chord. Hence, that's why we have inversions. Generally, that's how it works. Now, we could play an E minor 7 like this, but it's not going to really sound right in this song, having the 7 way up here. So what we're going to do, and this is how I normally play. This is how I normally play minor 7 chords, probably 98% of the time. So if we have our E minor here, if we play the second inversion, which is going to be B, E, and G, and if we use fingers 1, which is our thumb, 3, and finger 5, that frees up finger 2 to play that D, and that is our 7 right there. And this is how I normally play 7 chords. And this way, it's very compact. I can play all 4 notes without really having a stretch, but it depends on the use of the song. In this particular song, it would not sound correct to play the G major 7, to play it here. It's actually kind of, that would not sound correct, as opposed to, because we have this trailing, this leading tone. And that is what sets the stage for our vocal line, is this. And that is what makes it so damn fantastic. So we're ending the second verse. We end it on the E minor 7. So I'm going to come out of that and show you what happens after we get to the E minor 7. So we come back to this A9 here when we come out of that E minor. And like I said, this is kind of our turnaround. This always brings us into the next section. And that's where we play we're playing a G, B, D. And on the left hand, we're playing our A octave. Now, real quick, I am playing this fast, much faster than the regular song, simply for time constraints. I could easily sit here for 2 hours and do this video and break this down minutely, but I'm going to try to get through the bulk of the song, so if you are interested, you can get up and playing it quickly. So I am moving much faster than what the record is. So we come out of this A9 here, and we go back to our intro riff. And we repeat that entire section over again. All right, so now that we've done all that, okay, this brings us into our bridge. Now you gotta remember, this song has a very small chorus. The chorus is literally, I love you just the way you are. That's literally the chorus on this song. It's 90% verse. So this brings us into our bridge. Now, a lot of these chords we've already covered, so I'm not going to break them down all that, and I'm not going to get into it in a lot of detail. So I'm going to play the bridge, and then I will break down the part that needs to be broken down, because a lot of this we've already played. So this is the part that goes like this. I need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. Oh, what will it take till you believe in me the way that I believe in you? So that is that part. That is the bridge. All right, so we have a G major 7. Now the chords we already know, I'm not going to break them back down. I'm just going to play the chord. G major 7. We're going to play an A major. and we have an A, C sharp E, A on the left hand, to our G minor 7, our F sharp minor 7, to a B minor, which is going to be B, D, F sharp, B on the left hand, to our E minor 7. And we're playing the inversion. We're moving the 7. Then we're going back down to our A9, which of course, our A9, which of course is, let me rephrase that. We're going to call it a G/A. Easier to understand that way. So we're going to have the G chord with an A on the left hand. So we're going to call this a G/A, even though the piano notation doesn't show it that way. Well, it does. If you look up at the top, you'll see the G/A octave, and that's what we're going to call this. So then we go back to the D major inversion. Now right here, we're going to jump key, and we're going to get down to a second inversion C major. And we got a G, C, E, and I'm playing this 1, 2, 4. Then we're going to go to a B flat major root. This is root position because our root's on the bottom. And we have the B flat, a D, and E. So what it sounds like to that point. And this is the part where he goes, what will it take till you believe? So we're coming out of this B, back to our C major inversion. What will it take till you believe? To our A minor 7. And of course, you can see here I'm playing it with the 5th. I don't know. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You can play it this way, or you can play it this way. Either way. What will it take till you believe in me? Now we're going to go back up to our D7, and here we're not playing the 5th. We're moving our 7 to the bottom. So we got a C, D, F sharp. All right, now right here we're going to go to the G minor 7, and we've already covered this chord. Back to the C, second position C. Then we're going like to our second riff, which is the G/A, where we trail it up the register. And that brings us back to the beginning again, back to the verse. So I told you there's a lot to unpack in this song. So I'm going to play the verse, not the entire section. I'm going to play the first part of the verse, and then I'll stop, and then I'll play the bridge so you can get those, because after this, it goes back to verse after the bridge. Then we have our ending, which is very similar to the bridge. So I'm going to go ahead and play the verse one more time, coming off the very beginning. Then remember, the verse repeats itself. The only difference is at the end of the second verse, we don't do this. That's kind of our turnaround to get us back into the second part of the verse. The second time, it ends like this, on the E minor 7. Then, of course, we hit our G/A. Repeats the verse. Then we go into the bridge at that point. And remember, the chorus is simply the intro. And that's where he says, just the way you are. So now the bridge. Going to the bridge, we start on the G minor 7. Then it goes back to I said I love you and that's forever, and that brings us back into our verse. And then we finish that out. It plays exactly the same as the beginning of the song. Then we get to our ending, which is very similar to our bridge. So on to the ending. He retards the last section of the verse, bringing us to the end of the song. And it's the part where he goes, I said I love you, and that's forever. And this I promise from the heart. And he retards it all the way down to the end of the song. And right there's where he goes, I want you just the way you are. And right here's where we hit the B flat. And like I said, it's very similar to the bridge. Now right here on the bridge, on the end, we go to this A major 7 because this is not where the song actually ends. The song has a fade out and it goes back into the verse. So what we've got here is we got the B flat, of course. We've covered these chords already. We got the B flat, the C, the A minor 7, and we go to the D. Then we're going to come to this G minor 7 to an A major 7. And this brings us back into the verse because the song will fade out and it runs back into. Now, when I'm playing this live, if I'm doing just this on piano, I will play that entire section, no vocal over it, nothing like that, and then I will end it like this. And I'll go back to the chorus part, and I just play it slower. I'll retard it down, and then I'll end it on that D. Because the D, the song is in the key of D. That is our tonal center, so it resolves beautifully back to the ending of that D. So that is the basics of this song. Now, something you want to do is you don't want to play it very structured and chordal. You want to keep some movement. You want to arpeggiate whatever chords you can. And you don't have to play this exactly like Billy Joel. I've seen Billy Joel play this live that I've personally seen with my own earballs twice. And both times, and I've listened to, countless recordings, and he plays it similar, but it's not always exactly the same. So don't go in there saying, well, I got to play it exactly like Billy Joel, because pick a version and play it like that one. Or just do your own thing. The chords are correct. All you need to do is keep arpeggiating things so it doesn't sound very... because that's boring as shit. And if you want to put somebody to sleep, if you walk into a bar and you're like, oh, dude, I'm going to play some Just the Way We Are, then you're going to put them to sleep. And on a piano, it just really doesn't work that well. Let me show you what I mean real quick before we blast out of here. Somehow my keyboard has gotten locked. So let's figure this out real quick. Somehow my panel got locked. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. And actually, I've never seen that before. So we do have that. So if we go here. So if you're doing it on piano, if you go into a piano bar, chances are it's what it's going to be. You can't do this. Can't do that. You got to have some kind of movement to it and keep it moving. And arpeggiate what you can on your right hand. Just try to keep things moving. things moving, and it makes the song a lot more interesting. And if you're, if you're not sure, you could do it that way, but trust me, take the time and learn the song correctly. So I'm going to stop this one right there. Now, if anybody wants to see this transcribed into guitar, let me know. It is a hell of a lot harder than you think it is on a guitar. This is not an easy song, I'm just going to play, Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel. Yeah, good luck. There's a lot to it on a guitar, and some of the voicings, you got to get a little tricky with the voicings and how you do it. Then, of course, there is a little solo section. It is not a piano solo section. So if anybody wants to see this transcribed to guitar, I will do the chords, and then I will also do the solo section. This is set up for the person who wants to walk into a bar, sit down at a piano, play a magnificent song, sing it, and have a great time. And you'll be surprised by how many people in that bar will start singing with you. I know because I do it all the time. Whenever there's a piano, I don't give a shit where we're at. If my wife and I are somewhere and there's a piano, I sit down and I start playing every time. And she sits right beside me and we just go, and it's a blast. It's a great time. And that was the purpose of this video. Once again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like the things that I do. Subscribing is free. Please like it. Like helps. Like helps. I'm having a hard time talking. Liking it helps tremendously, and please share the video if you know anybody else that's interested in learning how to do some piano. And like I said, all the lyrics, where the chords belong in the song, and the chord charts will be on my Patreon page. It does cost $1 to join my Patreon page. You can't buy anything in today's world for $1 except all this amazing information, and literally that is it. Hell, a pack of gum is $3 now. Gotten ridiculous. And a nice guitar, if you want to buy a nice guitar, you're looking at $3,000-$4,000, if not more. If you're looking to, besides this Yamaha Modi X, there are some of these bargain synths out there. And you can tell the difference between this and a Montage. I mean, make no bones about it. For the money, this is very, very hard to beat for the money. But if you want to step up and get an 88-key Montage or a Nord or a a Korg or whatever, you're looking at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 depending on what you're buying. So you get everything on my Patreon page for $1. That is right. $1. And that helps support what I do and keeps me able to do things like this. And on that note, like the great Sammy Hagar says, if you miss a beat, you lose the rhythm and nothing falls into place. And no matter what you do for the love of God, rock on.